In the realm of gods and mortals, a legend was forged in the fires of prophecy and battle. This is the tale of Achilles, a man whose name became synonymous with both invincibility and tragedy. His story is not merely a chronicle of war, but a saga of a mortal touched by the divine, a warrior whose fame would outlast the very walls he sought to breach. Achilles' journey began as the son of Peleus, the noble king of the Myrmidons, and Thetis, the enchanting sea nymph. Prophecies surrounded his cradle, whispering of a destiny filled with greatness and sorrow. One foretold a choice between a long life shrouded in obscurity or a brief existence marked by undying glory. Driven by a mother's fear, Thetis embarked on a quest to shield her son from mortality's cruel grasp. She bathed Achilles in heavenly ointments and subjected him to mystical rites, seeking to purge the mortality from his veins. Her most daring act involved the river Styx, whose waters granted invincibility to the gods. Grasping Achilles by his heel, she plunged him into the river, unwittingly leaving that single spot untouched and vulnerable. Under the tutelage of Chiron, the wise centaur, Achilles grew in strength and wisdom. The centaur's teachings honed Achilles' skills, preparing him for the destiny that awaited, a destiny written in the blood of battle and the tears of gods. Thetis, desperate to alter the threads of fate, concealed Achilles among the daughters of King Lycomedes, cloaking him in the guise of a maiden. But destiny is not so easily swayed. Achilles' true nature was unveiled by the cunning Odysseus, who lured him from hiding with the promise of war and honor. Thus, Achilles joined the Greek armada bound for Troy, his name destined to echo through history. As the ships sailed towards Troy, the stage was set for Achilles to embrace his fate. His exploits on the battlefield were unparalleled, each victory weaving his name tighter into the fabric of legend. His spear felled countless warriors, and his presence turned the tide of war. Yet, amidst the glory, the shadow of his mortality lingered, a constant reminder of the prophecy that loomed over him. This is the Odyssey of Achilles, a man whose legend was born from the whispers of gods and the clash of steel. His story is a testament to the eternal dance of fate and free will, a narrative that continues to captivate the hearts of those who yearn to understand the enigma of the hero whose heel bore the weight of his humanity. Achilles' notable exploits and battles include the following. In the tapestry of war that unfurled over Troy, Achilles stood as the Greeks' fiercest champion, his name a harbinger of doom for his enemies. His exploits were not mere skirmishes but legendary confrontations that shaped the very course of the Trojan War, the conquest of 12 cities. Over the span of 9 grueling years, Achilles' prowess led the Greeks in a relentless campaign against the Trojans and their allies. City after city fell to his might, with a total of 12 cities succumbing to his strength and strategy. Each conquest was a testament to his skill in warfare and his unyielding resolve to bring glory to Greece. The epic duel with Hector. Yet, it was the duel with Hector, the noble prince of Troy and a warrior of great renown, that would etch Achilles' name into eternity. Driven by a maelstrom of grief and vengeance for the fallen Patroclus, his dearest comrade, Achilles faced Hector outside the walls of Troy. Their clash was not just of arms but of legacy, a duel that would decide the fate of nations. In the end, Hector lay vanquished, and Achilles' cry of triumph and sorrow resounded across the battlefield. The wrath of the river god. Achilles' fury knew no bounds, and in his rampage, he even drew the ire of the divine. The river god Xanthus, appalled by the slaughter wrought by Achilles, rose in watery might to challenge the mortal who dared defy the natural order. But Achilles was not a man to be cowed by gods or men. With the favor of the Olympians upon him, he battled the enraged deity, showcasing his valor and the divine protection that shielded him. These were but a few of the many chapters in the saga of Achilles, each more extraordinary than the last. His story is a chronicle of a man who walked the fine line between godhood and mortality, whose blade carved a path through history, and whose legend remains as indelible as the heroes he vanquished. Amidst the clashing of shields and the cries of war, a quarrel of pride and honor unfolded, one that would alter the course of the Trojan War. It was a dispute that ignited between Achilles, the Greeks' mightiest warrior, and Agamemnon, their commanding leader. At its heart lay a conflict over war spoils, the catalyst being Agamemnon's claim over Briseis, whom Achilles cherished. This affront drove Achilles to abandon the battlefield in a seething rage, leaving his comrades vulnerable and leaderless. The Greek lines wavered under Trojan assault, their plight deepening with each passing moment. In this dire hour, Patroclus, the heart-close friend of Achilles, took up the mantle of his absent companion. Clad in Achilles' resplendent armor, he charged into the fray, a beacon of hope for the beleaguered Greeks. Yet, valor alone could not shield him from fate. Patroclus, mortal and fallible, met his end at the hands of Hector, Troy's valiant prince. Achilles' sorrow was a tempest, his lamentations a mournful echo over the body of his fallen brother in arms. The flames of vengeance rekindled within him, and with Patroclus' demise, Achilles' wrath became a force unto itself. He returned to the war, not as a Greek champion, but as an avenger consumed with a singular purpose, to confront Hector, the slayer of his comrade. The saga of Achilles is woven from threads of valor, divine caprice, and a destiny that no man could escape. His life, marked by extraordinary feats and heart-rending losses, has been immortalized in the annals of Greek mythology, casting him as an enduring symbol of the Trojan War's legacy. As for Achilles' own end, it was foretold with the grim certainty of prophecy. Thetis, his divine mother, was haunted by the words of Calchas, the seer, who foresaw Achilles' fall in the Trojan War. Desperate to defy fate, Thetis submerged her son in the mystical waters of the river Styx, seeking to cloak him in invulnerability. Yet, in her grasp, his heel remained untouched by the divine waters, marking the lone chink in his armor, a vulnerability that would ultimately lead to his tragic demise. In the shadow of Troy's towering walls, a scene of profound foreboding unfolded between a warrior and his steed. Xanthus, the immortal horse bestowed with speech by Hera herself, became the bearer of ominous tidings. After the fall of Patroclus, Achilles, engulfed in grief and fury, turned to his horse, seeking answers for his companion's demise. It was then that Xanthus, with a voice granted by the divine, revealed a chilling prophecy. Achilles' own end was nigh, his fate sealed in the war's relentless tide. The Furies, guardians of justice, swiftly silenced the horse, but the prophecy lingered in the air, a specter of destiny that could not be undone. The demise of Achilles was shrouded in the mists of myth and legend. The most enduring account tells of Paris, the Trojan prince, whose arrow flew true not by mortal skill, but by the guiding hand of Apollo. The sun god, from his celestial vantage, directed the fatal shaft to the lone unguarded spot on Achilles' body, his heel, untouched by the Styx's protective waters. In some tellings, it was Apollo himself who loosed the arrow, a direct act of divine intervention that underscored the inescapable weave of fate. This narrative thread highlights the omnipotence of the gods and the futility of mortal resistance against the decrees of Olympus. Achilles' fall marked a turning point as pivotal as any clash of bronze and shield. His death sent ripples of despair through the Greek ranks, casting a pall over their campaign and foreshadowing the eventual doom of Troy. Yet, in the grand tapestry of history and song, Achilles' name endured, immortalized not in the fleeting breath of life, but in the eternal verses of Homer's epics. His end, though tragic, was a testament to the hero's journey, a path marked by glory and marred by vulnerability. In Achilles' heel, we find the embodiment of hamartia, the tragic flaw that binds human fate to the whims of the gods and the threads of destiny.